It is a special night.
Special night. Do you tap your mic?
How often? No, nothing. How's that? How's that better?
No.
No.
But talk to it.
I'm.
It doesn't work. It
No.
doesn't work.
It's not working.
No. You have to change the setting. You have to change the setting on here.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, you know what? You're right, Jay.
Yeah. Anyways.
How's that, Jay?
That's better, but you have to talk closer to it because it's a few inches from your face, Mike.
But I can change that to the tube thing, right?
Oh no. Here we go. Anyways.
Is that better?
That's better. Sort of. You don't sound like you're in a washroom.
Okay. Sorry, Jay.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I've been living with you for a couple of years now, so it's okay. Anyways, to everyone that's going to be joining us tonight on LinkedIn, hello. Yes, I'm alive. Thank you for everyone that's reached out. It was a close call. This guy. Well, it wasn't for your fucking text at 3 a.m.
Well, that's what I do.
Odd.
I wait around waiting for those texts, right?
I usually don't get those at 3 a.m, and I happen to be up. Like, think about it. It's kind of weird.
So did I, yeah. So was I.
Did you expect my come? Hey, what you doing?
No, I didn't expect it at all.
So, anyways, I'm alive, everyone. Thank you for all that.
About, your brand ambassadorship and whether we'd be pulling your credentials or not.
Oh. Well, the thing is everyone was, so it's this last couple of days, people have been texting me. Thank you. People have been writing me from New York, from all over. Thank you. That our one fan hasn't reached out, so that's okay. I won't hold him against that person. And yeah, thank you to all the other people that emailed me, called me, texted me, phoned me. Is awesome. So, anyways, I feel better. I haven't checked my blood pressure today. I checked it this morning, Dom. It was down.
Yeah, you're supposed to check it twice a day, Jay.
I know. Yes, Doc. I have another one to do tonight after the show, but good. I have to go for another walk. I've already had 2 walks today.
Keep walking, Jay.
So we'll do another one. I've ate healthy. I haven't had coffee in 3 days. I haven't had caffeine in 3 days, Dom. I slept like a baby, by the way.
Well, that's probably the medicine and the stress, but enough about you, Jay.
No, it's all about me tonight. It's not about this amazing event going on in Calgary. So to everyone that's joining us, welcome to Late Night Restaurant Show. We also have a special show tonight. That's why we're showing it live. Mm-hmm. We have the founder and one of the co-owners of Next on the show tonight, Kandrix.
Oh, yeah, you gave it away.
Domenic.
That's not.
That's
not how we usually do it. I don't know how many. 1,400 shows later.
1,600 shows later. Get your shit together. You always get the numbers. You weren't good in math, were you?
No, I was really bad at math.
I could tell, dude. I've seen your math skills. Thank God. Thank God for those phones, eh?
Yeah. Anyways, was really supposed to be $52. Ended up being $25.
I have a story about that. So anyways, if you are joining us on LinkedIn, and please, we love our message, anything else, but we are excited today to talk about Next Food Expo that's coming to Calgary September 8th and 9th at the BMO Center. This is the show we've been waiting for in Western Canada for over 10 years, Dom. Like you had a mullet then.
When we no, I didn't. I think I was bald back then too. When we kind of told you our origin story, we talked a lot about that on how long it's been, and we didn't really have a good answer as to why one hasn't happened out here, and hence when Kandrix agreed to come on board, then it started coming together really fast. So I'm happy he's joining us tonight because he's pretty quiet, and hopefully we'll bring some of the wild and crazy out of him tonight.
I was going to say, maybe that one thing that people don't know about Kandrix, we can get out tonight about.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's our job to draw it out of him.
He's nervous in the green room, I could tell. So, We know you can hear us, Kandrix, and I found out that the bad way a long time ago. But anyways, Dom, are you excited about tonight?
I am.
That's why
Because
you
this is the
shaved?
first time I've talked to Kandrix a lot, like a lot in the last, in the last
Hour.
year. I've been trying to put this together. Never live on air. Never. We know a lot about where we're going with this program, but it'll be good. I think it'll be good for people to hear too from the co-founder what he's going to bring, and he's got a lot of talents that he doesn't like to talk about, but we're really excited to have him on board.
If you could fix your mic so you don't sound like you're in a washroom, we're gonna have a great show tonight. Great room tonight. Sorry. They're closer to the mic.
How's that?
I'm going to buy you for, when's your birthday?
Well, it's too far away to get. How's that, Jay?
That's a little better.
That's a little better?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Now you look like you're ready to kill. So
let me do this.
That's what we do, Kandrix. We fix our stuff on the show because that's what unprofessional.
It's the only way to do it.
That's the only way to do it. After 1,600 shows later. Anyway, so also we want to talk about everything around Next, but make sure you go to nextfoodexpo.com. Check out the website. There's such information on there. Dom, it's at the BMO Center. The BMO Center is one of the most beautiful institutions for conferences in Western Canada. I think in Canada. I'm just going to tell you that.
Probably in Canada. It's a pretty cool place. They've done a really good job. They spent probably, I bet you it's near $1 billion, but they've spent a lot of money renovating that facility. It was pretty cool before, lots of history, but now it's a really nice place.
It's more than a paint job.
Yeah, they've spent a lot of money. They've got one of the longest escalators in I don't know where, right? Remember we talked about that, but there's more to it than a fancy escalator.
Exactly. Don't just come to the show with just try the escalator. But you should have escalator parties.
Well, we're not, shout out to all the escalator fans. You don't have to ride the escalator to attend our show. It's on the main floor.
It's on the main floor. Yeah.
It's on the main floor.
It's on the main floor.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Ready? We ready for the intro?
Yeah, go.
Kandrix here? Ready?
Go.
Go,
Jay. Go, Jay.
Kandrix, welcome to the Late Night Restaurant Show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Well, we didn't want to, but Dom made us.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, we
wanted you. We're excited.
Kandrix, I'll just tell you something really quick. Jay has this fancy, really, really sophisticated way of pissing off every guest we have within the first 30 seconds. He says something offensive or says, yeah, you know what? I'm really happy when a restaurant goes under. Stupid shit like that. Jay knows how to do it.
No, not at all. It slips out. It's like Tourette's. Podcaster Tourette's.
I can confirm that just based on all the calls that we've had. So,
Awesome. Well, let's talk about next. So, Kandrix, as we have on all of our shows, we always say who you are, what you've done, a little bit about you. Wow, jeez. Hopefully, Dom, if my face ever slurps on this side, just 911 again.
911, yeah. I'll call you.
I'll call someone else. I won't call you. You won't be able to answer the phone. No, don't call me. But I'll put my address in the corner. Anyways, Kandrix, as we say to all of our guests, please tell us a little bit about you, and then also let's get into next, and we'll break it apart. Talk about this amazing event coming to Calgary.
I guess maybe I'll start with a little bit about me. I actually have a background more in nerd stuff. There's an event here in Calgary that was called the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo. So I was the founder of that event. It actually just happened last weekend here at Calgary. At peak, we had 100,000 people coming into our show, and we would take the Stampede ground. So it's not just one building, it's multiple buildings. And it was just this amazing, celebration of pop culture and nerd fandom, right? So we started out as a single day event, half of the big four in the upper level And then we just started adding more days, more halls, more stuff, and super, super crazy stuff, right? And that's really where I cut my teeth on in terms of like event planning. We then started another show, our sister show in Edmonton, and then we also had another event that was in Saskatoon. I eventually ended up selling the show in 2018. So I was then part of the Fan Expo group, and was kind of just there for a little while. And then, pandemic happened for everybody, so that kind of changed a whole bunch of different things. I am still technically an ambassador there, so I kind of go around, kiss babies, high fives, hugs, that kind of thing at the shows.
Awesome.
And there's a second company that was involved that we created called Epic Photo Ops. That's where you are taking the photos with celebrities. So it's kind of like Santa, except with celebrities. And what we did is we created a process that had like instant gratification. This way we're producing the photos that you're walking out with a photo, as opposed to like the cruise lines where you take your photo and then you have to come back like the next day and then you see your photo on like this giant wall. And oh, where's me? And then you kind of like take it and grab it. So we built this system. And then I even remember for photo ops is like we had this initial planning meeting on like, all right, maybe we can get like 2 or 3 shows the first year, and maybe get like 3 to 5 shows the second year, and by year 3, let's hopefully get 10 shows. And we ended up doing like almost 20 shows in year 1. And that company would supply this stuff for multiple events all over the world, right? So I think we did. We're on 7 continents or 7 countries. We had stuff in China. We had stuff in Paris, London. We did Australia, like just kind of all over with this stuff. So this interesting blend of creating another business out of your first business was a lot of fun. We sold that back in 2023. So Dom had been kind of like prodding me for a little while for this thing.
He prods a lot of people.
I was like, sure, I think I can help out with this, and I guess here I am, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and we're forever thankful, Kandrix. One of the things, like we were talking the other day, we actually started this in the first year of the pandemic. It was our first time we talked, and Kandrix was, I'm not really sure, and some other stuff was going on. Obviously, nothing was going to happen during the pandemic, but I said to other people that I was talking with during that time is that I wouldn't do it as and I don't know nothing about trade expos. I just know it from an exhibitor's perspective, is that I wouldn't be involved in it unless Kandrix was involved in it because of his history with the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo and putting that together and turning it into the incredible success that it was. And it wasn't, when he started that thing, he didn't know anything about trade expos either. He didn't know anything about comic expos.
You didn't go to school for that, Kandrix?
No. I definitely did not go to school for that.
But as we know, sometimes the best things come out of that exact story because the people involved, in this case, Kandrix's involvement, is because they're not from it, and they look. Well,
that's how
they look at it differently, right? We talk about restaurants and the success.
It's always someone that's not from the industry is the successful. There you go. Marbles in my mouth tonight. The success having because they're not jaded or they're not stuck in those ruts of others, right? And I think that's what's 100%. Great. I think that's what's great about this, right? Is that Kandrix is coming into this with, learning about the industry at the same time, but a fresh new idea that you guys are bringing next to Calgary with.
Yeah, and I think our values align on, and I applaud him for this. What he did with that initial show was, how do we get the small? And Kandrix, this is your story to tell, but I
told you didn't have to worry about talking, Kandrix. You didn't have to worry about talking.
This is how do we line up and help the little guy? And I'll let you talk about that, Kandrix. You kind of did something that was probably not done to bring those people in.
I know in the very early years, because pre-doing our very first event. So my ex-wife is so we would go to other Comic Cons in North America, and we're exhibitors as well, right?
Mhm.
And things are frozen, so I don't know if it's still on or not.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. It just
That's
like
just
you guys.
Dominic's pose. It's just Dominic's pose.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was. We had this thing about like the first couple shows that we attended, not the shows that we put together. You're kind of always hanging around with the same friends, right? So I kind of call it like this traveling circus because you get to see these friends that you make. Everybody lives in a different city. You come in for this convention, and then you all hang out and chat and stuff like that, right? So we really wanted to have it where we were as artist focused as possible, right? And by extension, also very focused on helping out the exhibitors. So when we first started putting the show together, the comic show, we really wanted to come up with some ideas that would help funnel more traffic to the artist, right? So you're in a sea of artists, right? You're also a little bit dependent on what your quote unquote sales skills are. Like how charismatic are you in terms of like talking to people that are walking by? And some people are great and some people are not. That's just the way it is. So we came up with this idea of creating an art book, right? So in year one, we had this art book where I asked many of the artists, it's like, hey, can you do a piece up? You know, we'll print it, we'll make this limited edition book, and we'll take the original art, if there's an original art piece, and put it into a charity auction, right? So if I remember correctly, the very first one was for the Christopher Reeve Foundation way back in 2006.
Holy.
And we had, you know, like maybe 16 or 20 pieces and stuff like that. And that's where, you know, all the people that actually did an art piece were like super happy because people would buy this book and then they'd come to the artist table and be like, hey, can you sign my page? You multiply that by a bunch and it's like you're kind of automatically generating traffic. So if this is a shopping mall, right? And you had people that are automatically going into like this, you know, this store, you have a higher chance of doing better because now you've got a captive audience, right? You come in, can you sign my piece? Oh, what else you got? Oh, this looks really cool. And then, you know, it just organically helps to generate stuff, right? So that art book ended up becoming like a much bigger project as years went on. I don't remember the totals in terms of how much we would raise, but you know, you got more pieces, you got more talent, you got more everything with this thing. I think it was like maybe 72-ish pages for the last few years that we were running it. I think the auctions would generate like 10 to 20 some odd $1,000, right, per year for charity.
Holy
We've done it for a
shnikes.
whole bunch of different things. And it also just became like an event within an event, right? So that was taking a quick idea, which I would say is kind of like, you know, a retail trick, and applying it into a Comic-Con setting, and we're really happy with it, right? And the other part that we would do is we used to have like training sessions for the exhibitors, but more garnered towards the artists, right? So that's like, hey, when you're behind your table, this is how you should be. Don't hunch over, don't hide behind your artboard. You know, if you yourself are an introvert, because a lot of artists tend to be introverted, like I'm an introvert.
Yeah, Dom is too.
Have someone that's standing up, you know, have either business cards, postcards, you know, your quick 5-second spiel, you know, be engaging, be nice, stand up on your feet, make eye contact. And a lot of them were just like, oh yeah, I never thought about that, because most of us are just thinking about the work. It's like, hey, I'm drawing my piece, right? I'm not necessarily engaging things. And we see this across every business. Restaurants are no different. Just because you have the greatest sandwich doesn't make you the greatest restaurant, right? Because you can have something else that fails and it has such an impact on your overall success as a business, right? If you have poor wait staff, well, hey, that sandwich comes out and it's like, you know, it doesn't look good, or you know, I don't know, fell on the floor or whatever, right? All these different things add up to like whether or not you're going to be successful. So the more pieces you can build together to like create this roadmap to success, the better. So we kind of took a lot of the stuff that we learned and tried to scale it up a lot more. So we would record videos of us talking about like, here's a way for you to like, you know, engage your audience and have some fun. And even after we stopped doing that, years later, we would still have artists and exhibitors come up to us and be like, you know, remember when you used to do this thing? We used to host it at Eau Claire Market when that used to be a thing, and they had a community area that was free for us to kind of like just rent and use to talk about this kind of stuff. Those were great because, you know, you're not necessarily getting thousands of people, but if you can help out a handful of people, right, that's something that just kind of lasts. So that was a lot of fun for us.
Dom,
That,
what you going mute for?
Well, because I didn't want to interrupt them. I was,
Were you in zone? Were you?
No, I didn't want to interrupt them. I've done that in the past, and somebody said, "Don't do that."
So you mute yourself. You have to. So anyway,
that's called self-control, Jay.
Self-control.
Yeah,
I tried. It's not true.
One of the things that value and trying to help, in that case, the young artist or the new artist and or the artist that's never been to an event. We're trying to bring that energy and that philosophy to this. And as we were designing this, one of the things that kept coming up over and over again is we wanted to bring value to it. And as exhibitors, Jay, from your other work, Kandrix knows because he's been to a lot of these events. I know because I've attended a lot of events and I've talked to a lot of other vendors. Paying for $400 for power to plug in your computer and the lights for your banner is the shits. It's terrible.
It's horrible.
I paid $900 for carpet, right?
Was it good carpet though? Let's talk about the carpet because this comes up in every talk.
You brought the
kind of carpet.
You have a fixation. Do you want to call it a rug?
Was it a rug or a carpet? Because carpets is it silky? Is it nice?
No,
carpet?
it was kind of shaggy.
Is it like 70s shaggy?
No, not that.
Not
that tall.
No,
low pile. But it had, to their credit, for that money, we got the introductory padding underneath. So there was some value to that.
Just wait a second. Hold it. You don't get padding. You have to get padding extra.
Padding's extra, Jay, and the good padding's a lot extra.
The good padding is more than the carpet.
What?
Yeah, the good padding is
Okay, just wait a second. Do you know
you're only renting it, by the way? But anyway, let's talk about.
Do you get to take a chunk home? Do you get to take a chunk home?
No,
you don't take nothing home.
No.
Jesus. Okay, sorry. I'm tired of the talk of the carpet.
What I want to get to is the value. So
yes.
There's no requirement for carpet at our show. We're including basic power, so you don't have to pay $300 or $250 to plug in your computer or your lights. If it's crazy, 208, whatever, that's going to be different. But the basic power that a lot of booths need is included. A table's included. A chair is included, or two chairs.
So it's just wait. I gotta go back here, okay? Because I've done a lot of shows over my career, probably hundreds, to be honest. Stupid.
Yeah.
But I have to say, is this there's events out there that if you're just a startup or a company that has a lot of money, you may not have a chair?
Yeah, I think that's really more dependent on what the show wants to offer, right? Because at the end of the day, somebody's paying for something, right? Yeah. Whether you decide to take that on as the show management or you want to pass it on to like the customer or wherever, like someone's going to have to pay for it. So for us, because when we're doing Calgary Expo, right, Comic-Cons, generally speaking, have like your standard 10x10 booth, has the side rails, the 8-foot backdrop, the pipe and drape with it, and it's usually got a table. Some of them will come skirted. Some of them are just going to be like raw, so it's just the table with no surface, no skirt. And then usually it's like folding chairs, right? So we just kind of worked on, I basically thought of, hey, let's just kind of go with a standard package, and go from there. Sure, we could knock those things off and just be like, hey, if you're getting a booth, you're just getting the raw space. And some companies will actually prefer that because they have their crazy expensive booth setup that fits within a certain thing. Sure. But if you're like that small business guy, like we have a small business offering, right? So it's a little bit of a smaller space, but at least this way you can kind of get in the door, right? This to me is very much like what we did with Artist Alley, because Artist Alley is a 6-foot table in a 6x6 space. So 36 square feet versus your standard 10x10 at 100 square feet with a larger 8-foot table, blah, blah, blah. It just kind of helps people get a taste for stuff, right? A lot of artists, again, they're thinking from an artist mentality versus like a business, right? So they're kind of there, hey, I get to hang out with different artists, I get to draw, I get to interact. You know, some people are that genuine part of the aspiring artist. I hope to make a career out of this, right? And other people are like, oh, this is like my little side project. It's kind of fun to prep up, and you know, it's just something that they enjoy as part of their hobby, right? But in this case, is like if you're a starting business, like you know, sometimes getting a little bit of help actually goes a long way,
Helps.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
my one of my best friends, he's basically me, but the Seattle version, right? And we became really like we're like best friends, right? He started Emerald City Comic Con, and this is also way back in the day when I was married to my ex, right? We reached out, we're like, hey, we're you know these artists from Calgary, we're just starting out, wondering if you could help us out a little bit. And he's like, sure, here, I'll give you something, but you're responsible for your own travel. I'll give you the table, right? So I mean, it wasn't a lot. It was like $200 back in the day, right? 200 American, so that's like you know a bazillion dollars Canadian at this point, right? But it's that gesture of like, hey, I'll do you a solid, right?
Yeah.
Is enough for you to be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll give this a shot. And for most people that are going to trade shows, right, is you have your three major costs. You have your cost for whatever the booth is going to cost you, right? You have your travel cost, and then you have your accommodations costs, right? So if you could knock out one of those three things, like that makes it just a whole lot easier, right? Us being out here in Calgary / Western Canada is us going out east has always been pretty pricey, right? So we definitely identified this big need to have this in Western Canada. Calgary was obvious for us for a few different reasons. You know, the experience, you know, obviously Dom and I are here, right? But also there's this familiarity with working with a BMO center, right? That works out. Each city has its own, you know, pros and cons of what their venue and their audience offers. And we just figured that this would be probably the best one for us to work off of, right? Calgary is also pretty exciting in terms of the food industry. So for us to create this thing here just made sense, right? So we really wanted to offer that value, that hospitality, that warmness of creating something, right? And I think we can do that pretty good because of the experience that we've had in terms of building our events and just who we are as people, right? I would rather help you out a little bit now because down the road, if you're successful, I'm sure you'll be like, hey, there's a bunch of people that helped me up as we came up, right? That's the type of personality that I am. That's how I operate. And Dom and I have had many conversations, like through I think it's been like 20 years that we've known each other, 20 plus. I think it's 20 plus.
Did he have hair then, Kandrix? Did he have hair then?
No, he did not.
Didn't have the 80s mullet?
There's no mullet, not to my knowledge, right?
I don't think we've ever had anyone on the show that known you with hair, Dom.
I'll bring a baby picture next time.
Is that the only time you had hair? You're born with it?
Pretty well.
Pretty well. Junior high was rough.
I can tell you when it started falling out. I know that.
Was junior high a little rough?
No, in junior high I had a really nice mullet in junior high, actually. Remember, it was the 80s, Jay.
I totally love that. Sorry, kid.
It was the 80s. No. Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. Those values are important because today, like now, it's always been important. Like people bringing value to something has always been important. Obviously, when things are booming, I think things get a little loose. They get a little out of control, right? Things loose. They get inflated. For to Kandrix's point, when somebody wants one table, it's going to be $250, right?
Yeah.
Like for 2 days or 3 days. When we buy 400 of them for the show, we're Kandrix is able to say, hey, I'm getting 400 of them, right? I want power for 450 booths, right? I'm not asking for for things that need a 6-inch power cord. I'm talking about lights and your computer, right? Some of those basic things. We're going to get a garbage can for every booth.
Please tell me you don't have to pay for one.
No,
the other one. Other place.
Sorry, did I speak too soon, Kandrix? We're getting a garbage can.
No, I was going to say is it comes with one. It's not like this giant one, but
No, a wastebasket.
Yeah. I mean, different trade shows have different configurations based on their show decorator, right? So that's just kind of the way that part goes. So, we very much could have said we can cut this out, cut that out, and said, hey, we're not doing anything, or we can just put in a few different things to help out, right? So hopefully it's something that can continue, and ultimately, if we get enough people coming out, then hey, it's great. We're kind of spreading the love,
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's that whole how I think we've put it out in a couple pieces that when as we're building this, we're trying to take some of those pain points away, right?
Why is that important, Dom? Why is that important?
Like, you've been to trade shows and you've been setting up, and you're scrambling for a cart, you're scrambling to get in. There's no dock space. There's nobody there to help you. There's nobody there.
There's no one before to help you. And Kandrix
exactly. So some of those things are Kandrix is going to be able to design some of those issues away in how it's set up, what kind of help we're going to have there for when people come in, in the initial costing, there's cost savings there as well. The ability for people to attend a trade show in Western Canada with proximity to Banff, Calgary is the perfect place to have a trade show. It really is.
Well, I think most people can fly in, right, from all major centers too, in the West.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's lots of flights to Calgary for sure.
Winnipeg.
And then we got 5 million people right here in Alberta, right? You got Edmonton as a major city, just a few hours up the road. Yeah. You've got Vancouver, that's a 45-minute flight, right? Toronto's 3.5 hours, but the entire world's invited. We're not excluding people from right? We're inviting everybody.
No, you're from Toronto. You can't go. No,
we're having. Well, don't say that.
I said no.
You're a brand ambassador. You're supposed to be.
I said no. I said no. You can't. No, I said I meant it was a joke.
Oh yeah. Okay, Jay.
Holy.
Be nice to our guests. Be nice to our future guests.
Yes.
Yeah. Where's Jay? Where's your brand ambassador? Oh, he's in the back. We got him working the dock.
Yeah, exactly. I get those cones?
He'll be on the dock. He's like, I'm going to help you out, but wait, I'm checking my blood pressure. So hang on. Right.
Yeah. You had to bring that up, eh, Kandrix? Thanks.
Remember you were making fun of me? All I wanted was the cart. Our ambassador might have the little cart.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Can I want a whole yellow. Well, never mind. I want to tell you what I want. But I like to be at the front entrance dressed in a suit.
We haven't come to those negotiations yet.
We haven't figured that out. No. Right, but that's the thing that I think what you guys are bringing to Calgary is this experience, right? And Kandrix, with your past experience and what you're bringing to next, is an experience. And I want to get everyone to understand this because I think that's very significant when we talk about trade shows. Just because there needs to be a disruption in the trade space, in this space, there needs to be a disruption. I think the industry is dying for it, right? They're dying for a change because everyone.
The initial response has been overwhelming. Like as we're telling people, Jay, the initial response has been, "Why did it take so long?" I was shocked. I thought it was only some of us that thought that, but everybody's been, "Why?" Thank goodness that somebody's doing this out here. We need it. So, the disruption in the space for sure. The doing it differently. We're working hard at programming to have some different sort of experiences there as well. So that's I'm excited about that.
Did you tell Kandrix about my sleepover idea?
No, I didn't. That's we need some filters.
Wait. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Kandrix, it's a great idea. I was at the Dom. Wouldn't it be really cool to have a vendor sleepover the night before?
No. So when they go back to their head office and well, what did you guys do at next? Oh, well, we slept for 8 hours on the Monday, and then Tuesday was a half day.
we sold shitload of food, and then we had a sleepover. It was awesome. Pillow fights and everything.
Yeah,
No,
that's going to be one of the requirements of the vendors is they have to bring a sleeping bag.
Oh God.
When
Anyway,
when
sorry.
my Kandrix, you might have done this with your son. Did you ever do a sleepover at the Tyrrell Museum as part of
No.
something? Okay, well we did. I
Really?
did that with my son. Yeah, they slept with the dinosaurs. But wouldn't
Yeah.
that be cool? Like if you're a real restaurant
Well, I'm
geek, and we
telling
know.
you.
Wait a sec, we know one, Kendricks Richard. Okay. So listen, yeah, you get to sleep with the cookhouse smoker in at the next food show. Where did you sleep? Oh, I slept beside the Mako
Hey,
dishwasher.
here's the thing. I'm going to explain this to you both. This is social media gem. This is gold for social media. All night, people are making videos. They're laughing, right? People are like, can't believe I'm staying at next food show in my sleeping bag. It's huge. All over
So
social.
see now
It's a
maybe
talk of the expo.
this is a charity item that we auction off, to 50 people that they get to, and then we tell the vendors, hey, you got to leave out, like Santa, like you got to leave out milk and cookies, right? You have to leave out some sort of food for the sleepover people.
I do have another idea.
But the problem is, I'll tell you right now what the problem is. Because we're going to have liquor, we're going to have to fence that area off.
I'd have to be chained out.
Because nobody's going to leave that area, right?
Not our year just in the Palomino room. That's where the carpet is.
I don't know how much the auction of your sleeping bag would go for, Dom. I mean, Jay might be interested in getting that and bid on it or
something. So Kandrix, on our show, on our previous shows, we always have guests on here, and I always tell them how to improve their business, right, Dom? Usually, is probably where Dom goes. No, Jay, don't tell them how to improve their business or what they should do differently. With some of the most incredible people in the industry. Anyways, so first of all, I do have an idea, though. I do have an idea for you.
You were hired as the brand ambassador.
Just wait a second. I have a good idea. So Kandrix, I saw on the weekend at the event in Calgary that they had this parade, right? Yeah, the parade. Now, did you start the parade, or was that brought on after?
No, that was started by us.
Okay, so I think it's brilliant. First of all,
I can tell you the origin of that one too, right? So for us, there's an event called Dragon Con. It's in Atlanta, and it is the most amazing costuming convention. Period. It's also like partying, and it's a lot of fun. It's a very different dynamic in terms of how it's run in comparison to all the other Comic Cons. It's not at the convention center. It is actually at multiple hotels that are kind of on the same block, right? That each convention center's ballroom will feature something different. So one of them will have artists, one of them will have celebrities, and you can kind of go back and forth between all these different things. But everybody's in costume. There's Dragon Con TV. I know the organizer, Rachel. She is a Hawks fan. I'm a Warriors fan for basketball, so we would sometimes make a couple of comments when those teams are playing each other. And it's just such a different vibe. It's so organic in terms of how they created it, right? So they had this parade that they televised, and it's on the television in your hotel room. And by the way, all the hotel rooms are booked. So it's not just a hotel. It's 12 hotels, and then there's your 5 or 6 primary ones that are right there in downtown that are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just completely nuts in terms of how this stuff is going on there in terms of event. And you can't create that. It has to organically build a certain way. But the parade, they'd have all the guys put all their effort into hey, my main costume has to go into this parade, right? So we looked at it and we said, well, Stampede has a Stampede parade for Calgary. Dragon Con has theirs. Why can't we do a parade for our show? And we called it the Parade of Wonders, right? And we had some friends at the time that were, I think, at downtown Calgary, so they helped us kind of do the proper, paperwork and licensing to shut down Stephen Ave. We had the route and all this other kind of stuff built out. We would have a couple of different cars. The cars would then have the celebrities, so the celebrities don't have to walk. We'd have the various Star Wars groups and different groups, and then an application to hey, be a part of the parade. And it was great because you've got this marketing tool, right? This marketing thing and this participation thing, right? We're not saying, hey, you got to pay money to be part of the parade. It's just like, this is part of a parade. You want to come into it? We've had the mayor there. We've
Yeah, I
had a
saw her.
variety
I
of
saw her
different
this past weekend. I saw her this
yeah,
past weekend.
and it's kind of like, rise or shine. Weather doesn't really stop it. Um, uh, but it can be very interesting because it's Calgary weather. If you've got some snow that's coming in, then it's not as fun for a stormtrooper to walk in snow, right?
True.
But it was definitely like this thing that we felt was also another way to make ourselves very different than all the other Comic Cons in the world, because there's not that many parades. Because again, it's not this thing that you're making money off of. This is purely for the love of doing something cool. And I hope that we can bring that flavor to next, right?
So
Where
here's my
we are
idea,
doing
Kendrick.
cool stuff.
Here's my idea
Is
for
it
you on this.
sleeping
Sorry to
bags,
interrupt.
branded sleeping bags, color coded sleeping bags?
No. One, that is a good idea, by the way. No, here's my idea. Is that what about a restaurant or a chef parade? Right? Is that they get to get in there, and I can just see this Stephen Avenue with all these white chef jackets, and people are going there and they're promoting their restaurant in the parade and being proud going to the BMO Center where Next is and being the official lunch. So I think there needs to be a chef or hospitality restaurant parade. It'd be the only one, I think, in North America, by the way, too. Dom, look at that. See? Good idea, isn't it? Come on.
It is better than that. Until
Sleepover?
Kandrix said color coded, because then I was thinking of branding on the sleeping
Oh,
bag.
shit.
If you had,
Good,
imagine
true.
if you had a sleeping bag that looked like that, that'd be a collector's item right off the bat.
Totally. Parade or
And
sleeping
and here's the cool
sleepover.
thing. We're going to make that sleeping bag in 4 pieces. So you could have like one big sleeping bag, or you could have 4 individual sort of like,
Or you
throw pads type of deal.
You would say something weird like throw
Pillow
pillows, throw
cushions.
pillows, throw pillows, throw pads,
Yeah, throw pads.
throw pads. I don't know what your pillows look like, but throw pads.
We were quite poor when I was growing up, so I didn't know what a throw pillow was, Jay.
So, anyways, thanks, Tom. So, Kandrix, why September 8th and 9th? I want to get into the date here. Let's talk a little bit about the date. Why September 8th and 9th?
I think that was a good time for us. I mean, like, we kind of discussed different time frames that would make sense, and it's just, I don't know how to describe it. Like, there's also a chunk of it that's venue dependent as well, right? But we kind of looked at all the stuff that was going on, and we just felt that was like a pretty good time frame for us to get into, right? There's obviously the RC show is in spring, right? And we really didn't want to be close to them for that reason, right? Because they're their own thing. We support them. We love them. And we really don't want them to look at us as like, hey, we're competing. It's like, no, we're trying to bring love to like the whole food industry, not just one part of it, right? So after talking to the venue, looked at some options, and we just settled on that date, right? So who knows? We might get some feedback on people really love it, people really hate it. When we were doing the Calgary Expo, we were traditionally the last weekend in April. There was one year that we had to shift because there was some sort of crazy thing that happened that shifted like several major events for the BMO Center. So there was one year that we were basically on Father's Day weekend, right? And then we had a crowd of people that was like, oh, this is great. I can bring my dad out. This is so special for him. And then you've got another group of people that are just like, WTF, it should be here. Why are you changing it, right? Like, the problem with a lot of this stuff, I kind of call it like you're picking your own poison, right? Ultimately, it's because you kind of have to make very active decisions of what you are doing that is not allowing for something else to happen, right? So we had a lot of people that work in the finance and accounting industry not like us because at the end of April, that's also like,
Oh, shit.
Like, I can't dedicate a whole lot of time to this, right? And then we had university students, most of them be pretty happy because like, hey, I finished my finals and I can go right to the show type of thing. So there's always a whole bunch of like, some people will be happy, some people won't. Try to do.
Everyone's going to be happy about this, Kandrix. Everyone is, because you know what? I'm going to give you here's my take as well. Dom, you okay? Stop
I'm
messing
good.
with your background. Stop focus and don't mess with the background. Poor guy. Focus. Okay. It says it's backwards, by the way.
Sorry.
Well done. It's backwards. Anyways, I want to mention Kandrix is worse. You've had coffee tonight. I want to say why September is really good in my mind. And this is just because I come from the industry, 35 years in the industry. Is that September is a great time. It's after the long weekend. People are back. Restaurants really make a lot of changes through September because it gets a little quieter because people are back at school. There's a downtime. Now, we usually typically, like in Banff and Jasper and stuff, we call it shoulder season. We're getting into shoulder season, and it is before the ski hills opens up. It is a great time that restaurants can come and see new products, new ideas, and be able to get some learnings, sleep over, get in a parade, do whatever they want. Domenic, your background's good, buddy. And really have a good time before they get into the winter. And I think it's going to be really interesting because I think right now with the tariffs, there's a demand in the industry right now with innovation. I'm starting to hear it more and more. People need more help. I coach 20 some restaurants right now, and they're all are, even when they say, and I'm not going to say who, even when they say everything's fine, I peel that onion back and it's like, holy cow, there's a lot extra help that needs to be done there because they are hardworking people. So they need help. And if you, just like Domenic, if you are able to help them with this event and be able to provide the solutions and ideas and resources and products and liquor and tech and all these things you're bringing, I think it's very valuable for them at that time of the season because we all know there's only really a couple windows in the year that is good for them to do these kind of things. It gives them the ability to get away from their business too. They can't get away in the summer. They're trying to make every penny they can, with patios open in the season. The golf courses are busy all this time. This is that right after that long weekend, 99% of the time it's quiet.
Yeah. The other thing that's part of that, Jay, is that travel becomes less expensive in September. That
Good
was a
point too.
consideration. Yeah, that was a consideration for sure. The ability to get into the mountains if people are coming from
Don't
afar.
have to worry about snowstorms.
Yeah, if they're coming to Calgary at that time of year, it's still fantastic to go out to Banff and Jasper and the Icefields Parkway. Anywhere into the mountains is still fairly nice. It's cool at night. It's already happening, but it's a nice time to add on to your trip to the event, and then do a couple days of vacation because if for a lot of people, it's weird because when I go to these trade shows out east, a lot of people have never been to Calgary. You'd be shocked on how many people from in Canada and all the people we talk to in the States, like lots of people, I've always wanted to go, for people who are listening from the US, your dollar goes a long, long way in Canada. It's to your advantage in a big way to travel here.
Yeah.
Right. So
it really is.
Those considerations are big. Kandrix, I don't know if we talked about hotels are considerably less expensive. Kandrix has negotiated some really good rates for our vendors and exhibitors that are going to be there, and for people that are coming from out of town. That are
Domenic, I heard that you're gonna give space on your couch. That one behind you?
Not that one. No. There's another one on the other side that's a darker brown.
He's gonna play
that's
his piano every night.
That's the one for the guests. And anybody that's staying at my place, they got to be able to play the piano because that's a prerequisite to staying here.
You can stay at Domenic's house for free. It's gonna be great. Yeah, sleepover? Nah. Domenic's house. Yes.
Yeah.
Sleeping bag product, man.
Kandrix has done a good job. Remember, we were talking about Kandrix, right? Kandrix has done a good job at negotiating some really good rates and some nice places.
That's awesome.
Here in Calgary.
Close to the venue? Kandrix, close to the venue?
Pretty close to the venue.
Yeah, there's a couple that are close. So there's the Marriott and there's the Fairmonts. So the Fairmont's kind of like an institution in my mind for Calgary. Those ones I think are more for the pseudo trendy downtown. It's very close to the venue. It is walking distance technically, right? And then we also had Hotel Blackfoot. So Hotel Blackfoot is one of my favorite ones to work with, just because for those that are driving from Edmonton, as an example, right, is you're not having to pay for parking, right, at all the other hotels
Yeah.
because parking's part of it. So that I've always felt really good because for Calgary Expos, we definitely had a lot of people that would drive down, right? A lot of people would stay with other friends, right, that are also fans of the show. But for those that were like, hey, I need my own hotel room, but I've got, I'm budget conscious, right? And I also want it to be like a nice hotel. Blackfoot's the one to go to, right? So
And
I think
it's
you
still
stay
pretty
there
close.
too,
It's like
right, Jay?
10 or 15, it's within 10 or 15 minutes.
No,
Sure.
I can get downtown in 50. I stay at the Blackfoot a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like once or twice a month I'm there, and it's about a 15-minute drive. I like it for the one. It's a
I
great
think it's
hotel,
less
by
than
the way.
15. I
They
think it's
got
like
great
12
hotel.
minutes to the parking lot. So
Yeah, like
Yeah. So
I love
within
it for
15
many
minutes,
reasons.
you're downtown. You're at the event. There's lots of parking at the Calgary Stampede grounds, right? That
there's lots of parking. It is changing because of the construction that's going on. So I mean, obviously, like the new halls and the new part has opened up last year, and they've broken ground a while ago in terms of building the new hockey venue, right? So they have this thing on people that are coming in to the venue. They can check and they'll also say like, hey, this is the available parking lot now. Because if they have to close something because of construction, then you kind of know, right? So that's nice to see for that. But yeah, I don't think parking will be an issue for our event.
No, I don't think there's a lot there. I've been in that parking lot a few times. And also, when you're staying at Dom's, he'll just carpool you down.
Yeah.
Right, Dom?
well, I'll be at the
Entrance?
Hotel Blackfoot during that event because I need to be within, or I might be in my sleeping bag in the next
Exactly. We're gonna
in
be
the next maybe Kandrix, if you can put that into the budget, we want to pull out couch for the next the next space, the next booth. It needs to have
Woo! It'll be the biggest thing ever. People are coming around just to sleep over. Screw the show. Anyways, I think it's gonna be amazing. I think what you guys are putting together is something that Calgary needs, the West needs, the timing's right. Is it expensive? Let's just get into the price quick here as we wrap up, because this is always the question. Domenic, you talked about earlier about how everything's in. What about attending the event? It's not that expensive, is it?
Well, we haven't put that out there officially, but it will not be expensive. We're still working on that, Jay. But thanks for asking.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
I think maybe a better way to say it too is because like we want this for anybody that's in food service, regardless of what level, right? So we've had to do some conversations. Again, me not knowing the food part of it is we could create this thing where it's, hey, it's very exclusive. You have to be at this thing. But you know what? There's a lot of people that are working in food service that is like, hey, what is my path upwards, right?
Yeah.
Could I dream about owning my own restaurant? Could I, if I have a restaurant, could I dream about having multiple locations? Can I dream about franchising? Can I dream about all these other parts? Like, why wouldn't we include that stuff there, right?
Yeah.
So because we wanted this all access type of feel, is like we want to have it where it's not very expensive for you to come in. We'll probably put together some sort of like restaurateur pack. So if you want your staff to go check out the show, it's like, here you go. Here's a very reasonable price package that you can send your 10 staff to go check it out, because maybe your dishwasher actually wants to, someday become a chef or run a restaurant. Like, why not, right?
You know what?
It's super, Jay. We talk about this on our show regularly when me and you talk. Why it's important to attend events like the RC show, the National Restaurant Association show in Chicago, is because you get to see 300, 400, 2,000 exhibitors in one place all at one time. So it's inspirational in itself. And to Kandrix's point, when I talk to people, and when I worked at Costco, I brought people to different places, not to events because we couldn't, but to see how food was manufactured, how the ingredients that were in the bakery, how the flour was made, how the yeast was made that's in the bread that they're making. And the reason for that is because we don't know, and you don't know, but even the restaurant doesn't know what that attendance is going to inspire in the person bringing it. So to Kandrix's point, Yeah, we want all those people to attend. We're our overall theme is part of it is value. How do we bring value to attend a trade show? How do we bring value to exhibiting at a trade show? How do we bring value to staying, in the city when you're at the trade show? It's not with $500 a night hotels. It's with $150 a night hotel, right? So that all that value for the attendees is going to be there. And it's not just food service either. We'd be the retail trade, the grocery, hotel, hospitality, tourism, hospitals,
cafes,
like contract feeders. I don't know what you call them, like the institutional
contract feeders. It's not a feedlot.
There's a thing. Well, there's some big food service companies that it's called contract feeding. Sorry, Jay.
Is it? Is it?
Yes, it is.
Well, they should change it. That sounds.
It's called
bad.
Contract feeding because they're contracted to make the food in the hospital. They're contracted to make a food in a high school or a university or a prison. There is, right? Yeah. So anyway, those people attending, there's stuff there for all those people.
I think
grocers, the grocery industry, as we know, is becoming more and more involved. Well, it's
I told you about the 7-Eleven, Dom. They're hiring chefs.
Yeah.
7-Eleven now. Kandrix, they're hiring like very high-end chefs at 7-Eleven now to get rid of this perception of crap food. They want good food. They want healthy food. And it's in the volume and it's reasonably priced.
I don't know if you've heard people talk about this, but the 7-Elevens and the convenience stores or konbinis, right, in Japan are like the next level.
Yeah,
so, like the food is great. The food is very inexpensive. Like people will joke about, hey, I spent $700 to fly to Japan so I can have my $1 breakfast every day, right? Like, I remember seeing somewhere, I can't remember where right off the top of my head, but they're looking at basically doing a test run of a Japanese style 7-Eleven somewhere in North America, right? With that
really?
thing, right? So
probably going to be Vancouver.
I don't know if it's Canada, right?
Probably not Moose
I
Jaw.
can't remember what city it's in, but I know they're looking at testing it out a little bit, right? And I think there's this whole thing about, raising the quality of what it is that you get. It doesn't have to be expensive, but like people don't want to just have like crap food all the time, right? So I think that we were very happy when we were in Japan looking at all that stuff too, right? On like, I can go at any point in time, and they're also everywhere, right? So like every block there is a convenience store of some sort, right? And you're getting stuff that tastes good, and you're not breaking the bank, right?
I think it's brilliant. So here, why I say that, there's a couple of things I want to say as we wrap up tonight, because we got to wrap up, Dom. We could sit here all night, right? You're usually texting me, so it must be a good one. Is that this is what Next is all about, is what you guys are explaining, right? That's what Next is about. It's about being affordable to people. It's about thinking about people. It's about thinking about the vendors. It's about thinking about where they're staying, how they're treated, how they pay for it, how it costs from a vendor. That's what Next is about. It's the next thing. It's how it should be, and it's the next level of where it's going. It's the next disruption of this industry. So hats off to you guys on doing this. Not an easy feat, but worth it. And it's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. We still have a long way to go to build a lot of different things and a lot of different ideas to sift through. But, we did have conversations about, what we wanted to represent. And I think the thing that we really landed on is like creating these building blocks and these foundational pieces for everybody, right? On ways to
really
learn
is.
and grow.
It's really for everyone. And I think that's also a key. It's for everyone.
So like the value, the hospitality, the friendliness, the helpful nature of how we're going to go about even executing the event is going to be, I think Kandrix said it. We want people leaving saying, wow, that was different. That was really, really good. Not only as from an attendee perspective and, what kind of business they did, but their experience as the experience as an attendee for sure has to be spectacular, right? We want that to be good. But also from the vendor's perspective, because they put a lot of time and effort into being there. And we want that experience to be not the stressful, sort of crazy, hectic experience it often is. And we're working hard at that. So, the vendors, they're going to see it till they see it. But we want them to go away thinking and believing and knowing, holy shit, that was really cool. That was very different. That was awesome. Because, not just because of the value, but because of the experience. And to Kandrix's point, that mentality of what you get at the 7-Eleven in Japan versus what you get at a convenience store here in Calgary right now, they've shown it can be different. Chelsea, the lady that she's our customer service director, she's in Japan right now. And before she went, Kandrix, to your point, she mapped out the 7-Elevens and the convenience stores.
Serious?
Yep.
She did.
We talked about that. We talked about that at the RC show actually a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like anybody that's going to Japan, they just know it. Right.
Yeah. So, and because of that, that's what we want. And, now we're going to work hard with the vendors to say, hey, you've done a lot of trade shows. That's cool. Because this isn't a distributor sponsored event or a distributor, hosted event, we want them to bring their innovative stuff. We want them to bring maybe stuff that's not even, I don't know, like we'll talk to them, right? Maybe stuff that's not even to market yet, but stuff that they're working on.
Yeah.
Because when you go to a car show, you see the concept cars. A lot of those concept cars never make it, right? But you see parts of that in the future, in the models that come up, right? So it's like, how do we bring that to the attendees to help them understand that the vendors they're not always just making the same, the same burger, the same bread, the same piece of equipment, that innovation is happening and it takes a long time to get it. And sometimes giving people a glimpse of that will also inspire them to do something different in their restaurant. So I'm hoping to see that come out.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you both. Dom, obviously you're with me every night. But Kandrix, congratulations on Next. It sounds over the top amazing, and your flair and what you're doing to this is going to be felt across the country in North America on this event. People are going to talk about it forever. And congratulations on this. It's flipping amazing.
No pressure, Kandrix.
No pressure at all. No, not at all.
Okay, all right.
Not at all.
Good.
All right. Well, thanks again, Kandrix. Dom?
Thanks, Jay. Thanks.
All right,
Kandrix, he's gonna roll you out here, and then me and Jay are gonna trash talk each other again for a few more minutes.
Yeah, and then we'll regroup.
When we get off, I'm gonna ask him what we're paying him for his ambassadorship.
Yeah. All right, here we go. So Kandrix, all the best. Good luck, and we'll see you next September 8th and 9th.
Well, we're gonna have.
You suck at wrapping up. You suck at wrapping up.
But we're gonna have Kandrix back. It's not his only time on here. Sorry.
No, shit. You can be a surprise guest all the time.
Next time I'll come in, I'll have prototype sleeping bags. I promise.
There we go.
Okay,
see?
cool.
Fucking awesome idea. There you go, Dom. You don't think the sleeping bags are a good idea?
Well, no, I think you came up with the parade as a better idea.
I have this vision of all these chefs walking down Stephen Avenue, the restaurateurs. They've got their their signs made up of the restaurant, and people are it's like a celebration.
It is a cool idea, and the reason it's a cool idea to that, like now that you said, hey, I get to talk about my restaurant or have something about my restaurant. I think it could be powerful. I really do.
They really, but I just see that. Yeah, but like they're all their whites, and
you haven't trademarked or patented that idea, have you? Because we might just steal it.
Patent 192 of mine. It's in the patent school. Anyways, yeah, I think it's
September 8th and 9th, Jay. Calgary, Alberta.
Just wait a second. What's the website, Domenic?
Next, you had it up.
I know, yeah, you cheated.
There we go. Nextfoodexpo.com.
It's awesome.
And Jay, I'll just tell you, when we were considering who might be one of our ambassadors, We
I
said
lost. The other guy couldn't make it, or what?
wait a second. When we considered I remember saying this to it might have been to Edwin, our sales manager, is we can't make the name too long because Jay won't be able to say it. He'll forget it.
Is it?
It'll call it the Text Food Expo.
It's not the Tendon Awning Expo.
The Alberta Food Expo. The Alberta the Alberta Expo Food. The great Expo of food.
You mess it up once, right? And then that's all you remember, right? It's like 2 years later, you still bring up the podcast. I said phones were okay if we're dining out at tables. That was a bad idea too. So anyways, awesome. Well, congratulations on Next. Everyone, please, 8th and 9th, put it in there. Listen to this podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Dom, it's been once again pleasure.
They can
I
still
got a
get
good
it on
outro
early
though.
bird pricing, just as an FYI. Significantly less expensive than most
I think
expos
at this size, of this caliber.
This size, yeah.
This caliber.
Of this caliber, yes.
There you go. That's the word.
And you know what? One of the other things we didn't mention is lead retrievals free for first bit of people as well. That's often another $300 or $400, right? Jesus. It is, yeah. It's gonna be I think an exhibitor can save like $1,500 just in some of the extras that we're including. It's pretty cool.
We won't even talk about hotels because
yeah,
it's a lot of savings there. Anyways, all right, I'm going to do the outro here. I actually got loaded the video that I made for you guys.
Oh,
as our outro. There we go. You want to do your 1, 2, 3 route?
Just go, Jay.